What's up, everybody? Welcome back to 1025 in Conversation. This is episode 6. I'm Jordan, and today I have a very special guest. I recently PA'd for a film that's coming up in the future, later on in the future, and that's actress, director, and writer Kimberly Blake. First off, Kimberly, let me just say thank you so much for being on 1025 in Conversation. It's awesome to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for the invite. I'm really excited.
Awesome. Now, the first thing, if you could just tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I go by Kim. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas, and I moved to Atlanta about a year and a half ago to pursue my dreams of acting and filmmaking. Since moving to Atlanta, I got to do a cool PA gig for Spider-Man No Way Home, which was super cool. I got to meet a lot of people there, and I began to write my own work. So I'm still in the progress of finishing up my web series called Sincerely Me that is going to hopefully debut this year if I can get everything together, with the pandemic and COVID spiking back up. It's been really hard. But yeah, and also just booking my own stuff. I did a micro series in New York, which was super fun. And then I did this awesome film. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Now, the first question, Kim, I want to ask you is what inspired you to want to become a filmmaker? I usually ask this with a lot of filmmakers who are on In Conversation. What was the thing that inspired you to want to take on this art form?
So the filmmaking side of it is relatively, I'll say, new. So of course I have my passion for acting. But I realized that there's so many other ways to tell a story. It's not just through the art form of acting. It's what you do with lighting, and it's what you do with camera movements, and it's what you do with the sound sometimes, or your aspect ratios. And that just kind of fascinated me. Also just wanting to tell my own stories. It's cool being in other people's kind of stories and sharing those, but your own stories are something that, you hold dear and you value. And it's just, it sparked my interest because I was also, being an actor, you kind of there's this false thing going around that you have to wait for your next opportunity. But if you do your own thing, if you make your own stuff, if you write your own films, you direct your own films, and you're not really waiting for anyone, you're just doing. And so that's kind of what inspired me, is to not sit around and wait, and to share stories that I want to tell, that I think are important, and to just do.
So. Definitely. And that's definitely important for a lot of young, Black creatives growing up, is that, you have to create your own stories too. Don't just wait until everyone else's stories come to you, create your own. Another thing that I always like to ask is, was there one artist who kind of inspired you to actually do the directing gigs? Like for me personally, when I was younger, I loved this anime film called Akira, and that was the thing that inspired me to want to become a filmmaker and do all that stuff. Was that a similar experience for you?
I love this question because I find it so interesting, because I don't necessarily think that there was one, a film I saw or a TV show I saw. I think it was just my peers, being around creative people, and, people telling me hey, I really want to do this. And in my head, I'd be like, okay, let's do it. So I'm really inspired and motivated by my peers, my people I meet in acting class, people I meet on set, my friends, my roommates who are both actors. It's just, they inspire me to do and to create, because they also have stories that need to be told. And, they're just let's, I gotta, audition for this, audition for that. I'm like, do you really like that character type? All right, cool, let's write it. Let's do it. So yeah, that's where my inspiration comes from. It's more so my peers than media itself.
Awesome. Third question is, what was your first acting gig? Like, what was that thing that you remember as like your first experience on a project?
Okay, so I have two answers. My first acting gig was one of my own films. um, it was a film that I had done in quarantine with a friend of mine, and it was just like a 7 minute, little short film, and that was super cool. Like to be in and helped make it come to life. And it was just a little cannon, a tripod, and some soft boxes, but it came out really cool. It was like a black and white silent film, so it was easy because there was no lines. But as far as like on a bigger scale, my first acting gig was a Lifetime movie I did last year in 2021. Right after, so last year my agent had passed away from stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And right after, I was dealing with that, I had to keep submitting myself because I was agentless. So I booked the Lifetime series or the Lifetime movie. That was super cool. And the experience was, I don't know, because you go on set and you're like, I know what I'm doing. Like, this is cool. And then you get there and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
We're gonna act like I do, So that was one of my bigger things that was super fun and just a learning experience, and it really helps you gain confidence on set.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Like even when I was, wait 1 second. My microphone. Okay, cool. Like even when I was on set, I was like, I thought I knew exactly what I was gonna do, what I was doing. But at the same time, I was like kind of regretting my life decisions. I'm like, what am I doing?
Right.
Yeah. And let's see. The next question is, what are some of the challenges of being an actor in today's climate? As we all know, the film industry is insanely competitive, you know what I mean? But, a lot of people say, oh, you have to be lucky to make it in the industry. And, you do. And you also have to have talent. So, Kim, what were some of the challenges that you faced becoming an actor in our modern Hollywood climate?
Rejection. A lot of rejection, but you can't take it personal. Sometimes they just don't want, you're not the look they're going for or whatever. A big struggle I've also had is like my identity as an actor, because I'm Puerto Rican and white. And my natural hair color is this light brownish red tone because my dad, he's a red-haired white dude, and a lot of times I would have people say like, you should dye your hair black, or make sure you speak Spanish, or do this and do that. And I'm just like, okay, because, I was new at it. I was just like, okay, well, that's how I'm going to make it. Fine. But I kind of learned that, I don't really care about that. You take me as I am, and that is that. So through the process, a lot of the hard things is like staying true to yourself, and then the rejection, because if you don't stay true to yourself, it's going to show in your art. It's going to show in the way you carry yourself. You're going to feel like you're someone else that you're not trying to be. So I've had to learn as a person, like, take me as I am, or you don't take me at all. And
Exactly.
just like they send rejections to me, I will reject them if they, are trying to change who I am, because that's just not me. That's not my brand. That's not, what I'm going for. So besides the competitiveness and everything like that, I would say the two hardest things are definitely staying true to yourself and like the rejection part of it.
Absolutely. Now, the next question is, with a lot of artists, you have to be inspired. You have to continue to be inspired, because sometimes the biggest fear of an artist, and myself included, is that the day that you don't become inspired, you kind of failed the mission that you set. How can I say this? You set yourself up to. So I'm going to ask you, Kim, what in your everyday life do you do to keep you inspired while creating? Whether it's watching movies, reading a book, what keeps you inspired?
Right. I would say I do watch a lot of like series and stuff. And also I like to read. I'm currently reading I love the Hunger Games series, and I'm currently reading the this Ballads and Snakes, this whatever, the new one. I'm currently blanked out of my head, but I'm currently reading that, and that book has definitely inspired me a lot, because there's a lot of things like different point of views that are building off of these shows, and it makes me want to get my wheels going. And another thing that keeps me inspired a lot is just like wanting change in society. So a lot of my work, I wanted to have a message or be made for a reason. I'm currently working on this potentially huge project that is going to be a really big deal for Dallas, like where I come from, and just our history and like stuff that was buried under a rug. So it's just that, like, fighting for a cause or fighting for someone, that really keeps me motivated and inspired, and also just wanting to stay in it and proving to myself.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. I look forward to seeing that project. And now, the last question. I kind of blasted through these, which is pretty cool. See, the last question is, if you were to tell the young version of yourself of who is interested in getting into filmmaking, what would you tell her?
So I guess for about 2 years, I kind of prolonged. So I graduated high school in 2018. And I think for 2 years, I kind of just was like, "Ugh, I want to, but and I still wanted to do acting. And I had my agent, I was just focusing on the acting stuff, but the filmmaking area was kind of green to me. Like I was like, didn't believe in myself.
Yeah.
So the young me, I guess I would say, like, just do it. Like, don't waste your time trying to please other people. I left college after 2 weeks of being there, more so due to like financial situations, but also I just wanted to hop right into the industry. But I still ended up making myself wait 2 years. So I would just tell old me, like, hey, if you feel something in your gut, do it, because that most likely means that you're gonna have the fire behind it to make it happen. So yeah, just to trust herself. I'd tell her to trust herself. Don't take no for an answer. Keep pushing, and just trust the process. That's the biggest thing. Trust the process. And I hate saying that because it's like some people are like, but the process is like crappy right now. And I'm like, I know, I understand, but like, trust it. Everything will work out.
Exactly. That's kind of akin to like my story too, because like when I was growing up, and I usually say this like about me at the end of interviews, when I was in ninth grade, I actually wanted to be a filmmaker myself, right? And then when I told my family this, they were like, is this really what you wanna do? Starving artists and all that stuff. Yeah. And then over time, I tried to prove myself and all that. I was doing photography and all that, and here I am doing a podcast now. So thumbs up for both of us.
Woo!
Exactly. And that's about it. Kimberly, thank you so much for being a part of this episode. Awesome talking to you. Thank you guys for watching episode 6 of 1025 in Conversation. I'm Jordan Keith Walton, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.